guys, so I got a couple requests to make this video. Couple people, well, if you play Krunker, you know that if you're halfway decent, you'll get accused of hacking. And I think with a few simple fixes, like a lot of people could benefit from just setting up their game correctly. And then, so I decided to make this video for people who just need a couple of tips on getting better. So the first thing you're going to want to do here is type in mouse over here, and then you're going to go to additional mouse options, and then the pointer speed right here, you're going to want to make sure that this is in the middle. I think it's 6 of 11. And that's pretty much it for this part. And what that's going to do is just, I think it sets up like a 1-to-1 ratio or something for your mouse, but basically you want to make sure this is also unchecked as well. So that's one thing, right? So let's do. Alright, so the second part of this is the mouse sensitivity. If you don't have a gaming mouse, I recommend one. I use the G203. It's pretty reasonable. I'll put the link down below, but literally any gaming mouse will work. I recommend you set the DPI up from anywhere from 400 to 1600, and then kind of play with it. But basically, if your aim is really shitty, more than likely your sensitivity is way too high. So if you want to get better at flicking with the sniper or whatever, I recommend lowering the sensitivity. I personally use DPI of 400, and I lowered the polling rate for this game because I was experiencing some pixel skipping in Krunker, but I don't think everyone has the same issue. So that's basically that for the mouse setup. Alright, so the next part of this is basically your in-game settings. I don't think I'll just go over my settings and tell you what's kind of important. I just turned this crap off just because it improves your FPS, and if you're not playing in the client, you definitely want to download the client here versus the browser. It's going to give you a little bit of an advantage. I have a small crosshair, as small as I can get it, and here's my sensitivity here. So it's less than 1, and I'm on 400 DPI. If you increase the FOV, you'll be able to see more, but playing on a lower FOV, the hitboxes, or not the hitboxes, but the player models are going to be bigger. So if you're really struggling, I would honestly just lower this and try to like get good at aiming. It's going to make everything a lot bigger. What else? Let's see. A lot of people who are sweaty in this game, they turn the weapon show weapon off, just because it gives you can basically see more on your screen. I personally don't think it's necessary, but if you're really trying to sweat, like, you can turn this off. What else? Yeah, and you can also have a custom scope or custom crosshair in this game, and this video is not really going to go into that. It's just going to go into kind of figuring out, what settings work for you, and don't go off of what I necessarily am using, right? Because that's not gonna help you. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is post a quick custom game, just so I can kind of show you how I like figure out where my aim is at, right? So let's see. Okay, so I'm in this custom game by myself, right? And what I do to figure out a good sensitivity, I have a kind of standard size mouse pad. It's a gaming mouse pad, but pretty much almost in every game that I go into, I start at one end of the mouse pad and I drag all the way to the other end, and I get just about a 360, maybe a little bit less, a little bit more, depending on what the game is or whatever, but that's kind of how I figure out the wheelhouse of where I want to be at in each particular game. So that, I don't know, I'll look up how many like inches or whatever it is, but that's basically what you want to do is your mouse pad should be essentially from one end to the other end of your mouse pad, basically doing a 360. And that will put you in the range where like most people that play competitive FPS will put you at least close to where they're at, and you can dial it in if you like it, you know, more sensitive or less sensitive. So the other thing that I would recommend is like if you're walking around in a map just trying to hold an angle, right? You're just trying to hold the middle lane or something, or get in the middle of the lane, and that's another way that you're able to tell whether your sensitivity is too high or too low for you. Because you want to basically fixate yourself on an object, right, and then strafe to the left, and then strafe to the right, and straight to the left, and straight to the right, and see if you can keep your reticle on the fixated object. And if you can't, if you're over aiming, right, if you're aiming too far over this way or too far over this way, that means that you need to, well, if you're over aiming, you lower your sensitivity, and if you're under aiming, you raise it, right? So that's one of the easiest things that I could tell you to just figure out. Like, I can't even tell you, some people you see in this game, they're like going like this and stuff because their sensitivity is so insanely high that you ain't gonna be able to hit shit. Like if you're lower, sensitivity is lower, you're gonna get muscle memory, and you're gonna use your arm, a combination of your arm and your wrist, to be way more accurate, right? So that's that part. Alright, so the next part of this tutorial is going to be slide hopping, and I have the keyboard on the screen so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So you have your standard bunny hop, which is a faster way to get around, a fast way to get around, right? You're just mashing jump, and that's pretty fast. But the actual, and I recommend, you know, for the actual slide hopping that you kind of try to go back and forth in a lane here. But for the actual slide hopping, it's faster than our standard bunny hop, and it's something you need to do to get from point A to point B faster. We're the fastest in this game. So I'll try to explain the process. Basically, it's jump. Before you hit the ground, you're going to crouch. You're going to hold crouch briefly. And then right as soon as you kind of like make contact with the ground, you're going to jump again. So it kind of looks like this. And I fucked it up there. Like if you get really good, you should be able to just kind of do it a bunch over and over. And I'm not amazing at it, but you can see how fast like it can get you into a position. So like if I know there's a guy around this corner and I just bunny hop, it'd take me an hour to get there, whereas if I started doing the slide hop properly, it's like boom, I'm right there in a second. So that is a hugely important aspect of this game, and it's, if you ask me, it's, you know, something that separates people who are just you know, very good to like the elite people is their insane movements. So if you just keep practicing it, you'll get it. You'll get the feel for it, and it gets much harder when there's like an incline, because the timing will change, like whether you're going up a hill, like you might have to do it a little bit faster or slower depending, but it's kind of a feel thing. It's definitely hugely important, so I recommend you kind of just go into free mode and practice it, because once you get it down, you'll be like, wow. You won't be you'll you know, like the people that are accusing other people of hacking, they don't know anything about this. They're like watching people fly through the air and it's confusing to them. So definitely something you want to get down. Anyway, boys, that should about do it for the video. You know, if you just get a little bit of muscle memory and you practice a little bit, you'll be hitting you know, dirty ass clips like this all day with the sniper. You know, so just keep practicing, um, and then you know you'll get better. All right, peace.